How did you realize your parents were toxic? I was 14 when I found out by accident. My mom had left her tablet on the kitchen counter, notifications on. I was getting a glass of water and the screen lit up. Our last name in the preview, a thread I wasn't part of. I could see my own name in the first line before I even picked it up. I know I shouldn't have opened it. I opened it. It was a group thread. My mom, my dad, and my older brother Callum. Subject, me. Not a conversation about me in a loving, worried parent way. A documentation of me. There were voice memo clips labeled with dates, photos taken through a half-open door, a screenshot of a text I'd sent my dad asking him to proofread my English essay. They'd forwarded it to Callum with the comment, "He sent us his homework again." Unreal. The most recent message was from my mom. She'd recorded my phone call with a friend 2 weeks earlier, a conversation where I'd cried about not getting picked for the travel soccer team. She'd forwarded the audio. Callum had replied with a single word. Embarrassing. I put the tablet back exactly where I found it. I went to my room and sat on the floor with the door closed. I didn't cry. I just sat there for a long time, trying to figure out what was real, because the version of my family I'd believed in, the one where they were just sometimes busy, sometimes distant, sometimes hard to reach, that version required a certain amount of forgetting, and I couldn't do the forgetting anymore. I stopped bringing things to them after that. Stopped mentioning school, stopped asking for opinions, stopped waiting for them to ask how anything went. I answered what I was asked and nothing more. My parents noticed. They said I was going through a phase. My dad said I needed to stop being sulky. My mom said I was making things weird for no reason. I started to understand that no reason meant no reason they were willing to acknowledge. 4 months later, I qualified for the regional science competition. I'd been working on an air purification model for 2 months. My advisor told me it was the most detailed project she'd seen from a freshman in 6 years. I asked my parents if they were coming. My mom said probably, if they finished errands. My dad was on a call when I asked. Callum didn't come home from college for it. I won 2nd place overall and 1st in my category. The award came with a small scholarship and a letter from the regional board. Other parents congratulated me and asked about the design. An older man whose daughter had won 3rd place shook my hand and said I should consider engineering. I kept looking toward the entrance. They didn't come. I got home to find all 3 of them watching something in the living room. I stood in the doorway with the award in my hand for a full 30 seconds. My mom glanced over. She said, "Oh, nice, how'd it go?" I went upstairs. That night, I went through my own things carefully. I found what I needed in the printer drawer, 3 reams of paper. I opened the tablet app on my phone. I had remembered the thread name. It hadn't been deleted. I printed 22 pages. I went through them and highlighted the worst ones. Not all of them, just the ones where my own words, my own help asking, my own crying had been forwarded to my brother like evidence of something shameful. I put the stack on the kitchen table with my science award on top like a paperweight. Then I packed 2 days of clothes, my laptop, and my charger. My dad's older sister, Aunt Ren, lived 4 streets over. She had always had a specific way of looking at me at family gatherings that made me feel like she was paying attention. She'd said once, years ago, "If you ever need anything, and I mean anything," her door was open. I knocked at 9 p.m. She opened the door, looked at me, and said nothing for a moment. Then, "Come in." I handed her the printed pages at the kitchen table. She read them without speaking. When she finished, she set the last page down and pressed both hands flat on the table for a moment. Then she looked at me and said, "I'm so sorry this is what's been happening to you." Not, "Are you sure?" Not, "I'm sure they didn't mean it." Just, "I'm sorry this is what's been happening to you." I stayed. My parents called the next morning. Aunt Ren told them I was safe and needed time. My mom came to the door and told Ren I was being dramatic and that I'd blown something out of proportion. Ren handed her the printed pages. My mom stood in the doorway and read 4 lines of it. Then she said, "We were just venting between ourselves." That was all I needed to hear. Because here's what I've learned. The people who say you're being too sensitive are usually the ones who've decided your feelings are an inconvenience. And being hurt by people who are supposed to love you isn't a character flaw. It's just what being human feels like when the people who should know that don't. Aunt Ren helped me transfer schools the following semester. She found me a counselor who I still talk to. I'm okay. That matters.